Hi everyone, Sandy here. Welcome back to my tutorial for my Graphic 45 Ghostly Greetings album. This is part 2 and the final tutorial video. So we'll finish up making this album, so stay tuned. Okay, so we have all our pieces assembled, ready for patterned paper. So we're going to work on this one first. This is the piece that goes inside the front cover. So these are the 3-page sets. I'm going to set them aside back here. And we're going to work on this one. So I'm going to add a tie closure. So I have taken some black seam binding from Country Craft Creations. This is about 30 inches here, and I've rolled it up and spritzed it with a little bit of water from my spray bottle, my mister. And I don't put so much on it that it doesn't dry pretty quick. I roll it in my hands and get it kind of, it's pretty dry. It's just going to have that crinkly look that I like. And so I'm going to go ahead and pull all my paper clips out to determine where we're going to put this. We're going to make a closure here on this back one. So what we need is, this is our hinge. We need to lock down all of these on the front. So let's open this back. Put your hinge to the left. We've got this piece opening back, and we should be able to put our ribbon right in here. So I like to secure it with some glue. I'm going to put it right in the center of this one section. And of course, my glue has decided not to come out. So let's take a pin to it. I have a long pin here I use. Usually these little bottles, they don't plug up, but I did refill it. And so it may have to do some cleanup of the bottle tip. Here, I have another one. We'll set this aside. I need to soak the tip probably in some soapy water. Let's see how this one does. This one's ready. Okay. Crisis averted. I always have 2 ready to go. So I'm just going to attach this down in the center. Now I do have glue on it, but I am going to secure it. Now, I didn't put that on as a supply. We all have pretty much score tape, right? So I'm just going to put a bit of score tape right across it, just to make sure. And then I'm going to take the other end, and then I'm going to cut it in half. So the other end goes down here. You want to make sure that it's facing inwards. So put the glue in the center, and we attach it down. I like to use the glue sometimes just to make sure, especially if there's going to be quite a bit of, weight on it, or, tying it up. So then I'll bring this up. Now I may have way more than I needed, but I always like to be cautious. I don't want anything to not have enough to tie a bow. So we bring this up, bring this over like that. So this is going to tie to hold these 2 flaps in, and it will hold this big flap down as well. So this is going to tie here in the center. So we always want to do our ribbon ties and magnet ties prior to adding our pattern paper. So now, see, that worked out just about right. I'm going to tie a knot in the bottom, the end of each one. That, a knot here. And crinkling does make it kind of crinkle, shrink up, so you need a little more than probably normal. Okay, tie that knot. I'm just going to trim that off short. And we have the knot that's going to, keep it from fraying all the way. Okay, so that should be good. Of course, it's hard to see black on black, but see, that keeps, when this is in your book, that flips, it's not going to, all those pieces fall out. And these are going to be held by something else. So, first off, I have pulled out these scraps. I really love this paper. So this is the back side of that real, you know, patterned one. So I think I'm going to use that. And then here we have a couple of 3x4s that should work. So I'm just going to take my scissors. You can use your trimmer if you want. I want the direction to be going vertical, up and down. That's the right word, right? Vertical. So I'm just going to cut this one out right here, and then we'll see how it looks. We want this one, and then we want the one with the if the brim fits. So yeah, that's going to cut right there. Okay. So these should pretty much fit. I'll set this aside now. Bring this over here. So this should fit. Sit for a spell, and if the broom fits. So let's untie this. And so these are going to fit like right here. You don't have to do any more trimming, I don't think. Maybe this one needs straightened up a little bit. And I didn't tell you that I am not inking anything. If you want to ink, you know, you can certainly do that. Just a tiny bit here. Okay, let's do our paper in here first. So this section is going to be 9 tall, should be 9 tall and 3 wide. Double check. Yep, 9 tall and 3 wide. So, what are these skinny ones here? It's around about 3. So what I'm going to do is cut my 9-inch length first. So put it at 9 and then back it off that 1/16 of an inch, just like I did before. Put that off, save this guy, and then turn it, and we put it at 3, and then we're going to back it off 1/16 of an inch and just trim that little tiny bit off the side so we get to use all this. And this is going to glue right in over those hinge flaps so that it covers all that up. So that's going to fit right in there. And then I'm going to glue one on the bottom, one on the top, and that's going to be the front side. So I'm going to glue those right quick, and then I'll come back and show you what else I'm going to cut. Okay, so I glued this one on the inside, and then these 2 cut aparts here. So love how that looks. That looks great. So that opens up. Now these I'm going to leave the black because you could add photos there. If you want later on down the road, you have extra paper scraps left and you want to pattern these, you certainly can do that. I'm going to leave mine black. So this comes up like that. But before we tie it together, we're going to open this up all the way like this. And I took the leftovers that I had from the solid and print and cut the same. They're 1/16 under 3 wide by 1/16 under 9. So I'm going to put one there. I have more of this one, and then this one like this, and that one there. So now we have this look here like that. So these should all fit. If they don't, I will trim them to fit. But like this one, you're going to remove your tape backing before you actually glue your piece down. So I'm going to go ahead, and I think I'm going to leave it this way. Okay, I'm going to go ahead off camera and glue these down, and we'll be back. So I have all of them patterned here. So this is what it looks like this way on the inside. I really love that. That turned out really cute. So that folds up. And just make sure when you're gluing down and you're using the really narrow cut that you're not going over your lines. So a couple of them I did have to trim just a tiny bit more off. So lay it down before you glue it. Double check and trim if you need to on some of those. And then of course we've got this on the inside, and I'm leaving those plain like I said. And then this side I did like that. So I had plenty of scraps from what I cut for the cover and inside to do this cute little element here. Now the next thing we're going to do, we're going to put the little belly band on. And so remember we had this little belly band, and I did trim it down on the end. So you lay it in here and make sure that it's not extending into your fold. And then I cut the scrap to fit on that. And so that's the little belly band right there. So all you have to do is take your glue and put a little glue on each short end like that. So it's a flat belly band, which means what you put under it is going to stay in better than if it has the tabs underneath. So I'm just going to put it about right there and then burnish that. Just hold it down and burnish, and where the glue comes out, I wipe that off just like that. And the other side. More glue oozing up there at the top. Okay. There we go. So now we have a little belly band here. We can tuck some cut aparts or something under. So I'm just going to let that dry for just a bit, and then we will tie this up here with our ribbon, and then we'll flip over and work on the back side. So before I flip over and do the waterfall side, I wanted to show you here. Now this may be what I'll leave in here. I don't know. I put these two elements in here. I just think it's cool to have the flowers tucked in and the skeleton. I love that skeleton. And from the cardstock stickers, I glued the word spooky on. So I just think that's kind of cool. It's a different treatment. May or may not leave those guys in there. I don't know. But I did want to show you that for the hinges here, it's much easier when you can to cover them before we actually put them in the book. Now this particular one, the 1/2 inch is going to glue down into the cover, and so this side needs to have patterned paper, this 3/8 needs to have patterned paper, and the 3/8 on the other side. So from the scraps I'll have just under the 9-inch length. So this one I cut at a 1/16 under 1/2 inch. So I know that's a little confusing, but that's how I measure it. So you measure it to, cut it to fit. So I'm just putting glue on it. I'm going to go ahead and finish this up from these scraps. So this hinge part here, I'm going to put it closer to the outer edge so that it doesn't go over the fold. Okay, so like that. And wipe off any glue. So I'm going to burnish that down. Like that. So that still folds. Fold it back and make sure you've got the fold there. And if you wanted to ink it, you could. And then this one's going to go on the 3/8 section, the solid, like that. So I'll put that down. Right in the center. Keep it away from each little fold section. A little more that way. There we go. Move it quickly so it doesn't dry on you. So there's that. So that finishes that off. It's just much easier to do it before it's in the book. Just remember that what's gluing down doesn't need anything on it. So it's going to be the back of this 1/2 inch one that's going to glue down. So this one flips over, and we're going to leave this 1/2 inch unpatterned. That's what's going to be glued down. So this 3/8 next to it, I'm going to open it up. It's flatter. This is where this is going to go, right in here. I'm going to use the solid orange again. And I think I've got it trimmed down enough, hopefully. So glue on it. Let's get that one in there. Clean that off. Should fit right in there. Pretty good. slide it a little bit. There we go, and burnish that down. So that little hinge is finished right there. So now when we flip this over, there's how it's going to go in. This is going to fold up. Let's go ahead and tie this up for now. Love how it's looking. This folds up like this. Okay. Now that I'm wondering if I want any pom-pom stuff yet. Not yet. Okay. So there's that. Flips over. Nothing goes on this 1/2 one. Now we're ready to work on these waterfalls next. The waterfall, what we're going to do is use scraps. So I had enough scraps to piece together this floral piece here and a little bit of orange here and here. So let me show you. So they're the same. This just tucks up underneath. What I'm going to do is I think we should leave these plain for now, this and these waterfalls, until we cut other 12 by 12 for the other pages, and then cut from scraps. So we're going to set this aside. This is all the scraps I have left from 2 sheets of the 12 by 12. So I've done really good at using the scraps. So we're going to wait for scraps to finish this one up. Now what I did really quick, I glued this sticker, this cardstock sticker, to a piece of black cardstock, and then glued it to this lightweight chipboard. And then I cut around it. It's easy to cut with scissors on the lightweight chipboard. Just cut around the tombstone. And then I glued it down on the top piece to about, see, here it goes right here, to about right here. Now if you glue down too far and you can't get your bottom piece up underneath it, take a flat tool and just kind of, open it up a little bit. So what this does is, we don't have a magnet. It holds it really well. You drop the top one down with the closure piece, or with the chipboard piece, and then this, because it's open underneath and it's not sticking down, you just tuck this one underneath like that, and it holds it down, and it's not going to be flipping any at all. So I love that. And then underneath here, because it was blank, I put I glued down one of the cardstock stickers. So I really like how that looks, and like I said, we'll come back later and add scraps of pattern paper to our waterfalls once we get done with our pages. So that's where we're at. Next, we're going to move on to page set 1. Next, we're going to add the pattern paper and the tie closure for the page set 1. So you see here I have the string closure here so that it holds this side and these flaps here. It does not hold this one. Now if you wanted to put it all the way across, you could, but I didn't want it over these pockets, and I feel this is the weight enough to hold that down enough. So we're going to just add the string so it holds these flaps down and this flap down. So we need to make sure we put our string in the proper place. So let's go ahead and get the jute string. I'm using the black, and I did double it for my Halloween, for my Ghostly Greetings album. So this is the paper I chose, but anyway, here's our piece here. I'm going to take my paper clips off. So this is the pocket side over here. This is where the flip is. I'm going to go ahead and pull my belly bands out and set them aside that I had there. And this mat. Okay. So we have the string, and I cut 2 pieces that are double. When they're doubled, I think I cut 30 inches each. Yeah, about 28 inches each. So this is this one. I think that's going to be plenty long enough. So we've got it where it's got to come around this here to hold these down and this flap down. So this is where it's going to attach in the inside. So we have the hinge over here. Let's get this down a little bit. The hinge is on the right, And we're going to be putting that right here. So I've got my glue, and I'm just going to center it, lay it in the glue right there, and get my score tape. Oh, there it is. And usually when you have several components that need held down, it's usually better to just go ahead and do it with a tie versus trying to do it with a magnet. So I'm going to lay these here kind of in the center and get some tape on them. So I'm making them so they're in on the back side of this section here. So they're inside underneath where the pocket is, like that. Okay, they're right here. We're going to flip this over. Here we have our two flaps. So when this comes over, it's going to hold this flap down and these two flaps down. So this is where the hinge is. So this is going to tie here in the center. Just tying it so I can check my how much tails I need to trim anything. I don't think I will, but we'll see. So I'll tie it so it's double string to make sure it doesn't break or anything. I also like it looking thicker. Well, okay, that's better. So here I have my double loop. So I'm just going to tie a knot in the end of each, and then I'm just going to cut the loop off. Bring them down and right there. You could leave it looped, but I'm just going to cut them loose like that. And then we'll do the other one. Straighten it out, tie a knot. Okay, and trim that off. Okay, so now we're ready to cut some pattern paper for this one. And I think the flaps here, I'm going to use the Boo to You. So this was the one labeled, because if I cut the branding strip off, labeled Boo to You. So these two flaps in the front are each, it's 4.5 by 5. So it's going to be, we're going to cut the width first. So I'm going to put 4.5 here and break down 1/16 of an inch. Let's see how that looks. Okay, and then we're going to turn it and cut it 5 from the bottom. So put it at 5 and then back it off 1/16 of an inch. So there's one. And we'll do the second piece the same way. Put it at 5, back it off 1/16 of an inch. And cut. So I'm putting them both the same, like that. And then the piece back here, the big piece back here, is going to be the bats, like that. So that's 9 inches, and that flap is 4.5. So we're going to cut this one down, put it at 4.5, scoot it over 1/16 of an inch, cut, and then turn it, put it at 9, back it off 1/16 of an inch, cut. Okay, so that's going to go right there. My other two pieces on these, so I'm going to go ahead and glue these on, and then we'll come back and I'll show you what we're doing in there. And so for the back side of these, I'm leaving these plain right now. I've added the pattern paper, so we have this on the front, this one on the inside flips back, leaving this plain for now, and then we have the bats here. So then we take this photo mat that we had cut, which was 4 by 5, because we make it smaller in the width, and we're going to line it up with these gates or flaps so that it fits right in here for photo place. So I'll just take my glue, and on the back side, so this is just a piece of the black cardstock. If you wanted to add in some of the color solids, you could do that too. We'll see later on if I have enough, but I'm looking at the bottom of my right here to make sure it's not extending over. Hopefully I didn't need to cut it any. Yeah, that works great. So it's about 1/4 inch on each side there. I'm going to burnish that down and wipe off any glue right there. So now we have that in there. So we have that like that, and then of course that ties up, but we need to open this up and go ahead and pattern in here, because I did that on this one as well. So this one I left plain, and this one I patterned. So I need 1 piece of patterned paper for inside. Okay, so I'm going to take the sheet that is labeled Ghostly Greetings. We have 2 of these, so I've taken one and I've set it aside so I don't cut it. And I'm going to use this print here on the inside. So I'm going to cut it. It needs to be 9 tall, so I'm going to go ahead and cut from the bottom end, put it at 9, back it up 1/16 of an inch, cut that, save that one, and then we're going to turn. So this flap section in here, with your hinge to the left from the fold of that last hinge, is 4 1/2. So we put it in at 4 1/2 and back it up 1/16 of an inch right there and cut that. So that is what's going to go right here. And for now I'm going to leave this one without any pattern paper on it. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this down real quick. So I've glued this down, and then from the piece left over that I cut that one from, I cut one that's 3/8 wide, so I can go ahead and glue my piece here in the on the give space. This one doesn't get anything because it will be glued down, so we just need a just under 3/8 by just under 9 inches. So I'm going to glue this one on. Okay, and line that up right there in that little space. So that will be done when we put this hinge in the book. So the hinge will go in the book, the give space will show. We'll also pattern the other side as well. So that side is done. So we'll pull this back up, and we'll go ahead and tie this down. And then I'll decide what I'm going to put down on these sections here. Okay, so I'm having a really hard time deciding on these pockets. So I'm thinking I'm going to use this scrap here with the flowers on the bottom. And then this scrap here, I'm going to try to work it in to the top. So I'm going to cut into a new sheet for the center pocket. So I have this one here called Nightscape's Black Pattern and Solid Sheet. So it's black on the inside. Okay, so I'm going to set that over here for right now because I'm going to do the top one first. So remember we left these open so that we can glue them down after we put the pattern paper. So for this top section, I'm going to cut one that is make sure we get it right here. It's 4.5. So just under 4.5. And we want to make sure it goes in enough that you don't see it in the notch. So by 4.5. So I'm going to do 4.5 by 4.5, or whatever I can get out of this. So I'm going to cut this first, this away. So that's the height, 4.5. I'm going to leave it at, I think I can bring it down a little bit. So I don't have, that way I can keep these two. So I cut it just there, so that I ended up cutting it at about 4 3/8. But then it needs to be, what did I say, 4.5. And I do want the tombstones. So I'm going to cut it a 1/16 of an inch smaller than 4.5. So that gives me that look with the flowers and the tombstones. So that's what I want in there. And that's going to work. Oh, got some hair. How did that get on there? My hair. That's going to work right there because you're going to see the flower under there. So then we want 4.5 wide by, looks like 4 tall. So let's cut the 4. I'm just going to cut it at 4 because it doesn't matter on that. Save this other piece here. And we're going to turn and cut it just under 4.5. So 4.5 at a 1/16 under. So that's just going to be those words in there like that. Yeah, I like that. And then these flowers here. So this is going to be the height on it. Has to be just under 3. So let's get our 4.5 cut first. So put it at 4.5, bring it down under a 1/16 under 4.5, and then this is 3, just under 3. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do my notching. If you did notches, if you kept yours straight, no big deal. I lay these on here where I want them side to side, and it's a pretty close fit. I mean, there's, you know, not a lot of give one way or the other. Then I mark with a pencil where my center, I bring it down far enough so I can see, and I'm going to punch that. Let's line that up. And it helps get it as close as I can. Now you could line these up and punch them at the same time. But that one does pretty good. Just like that. Then this one the same way. I'm going to line it up right there. So I'll just trim just a tiny bit. Just a little bit. Side to side. There we go. There's the notch. Kind of get that in the center. Got to make it long enough so that you can see it when you punch it. And then of course you go back and erase those. Yep, pretty good. One more. Well, no, the last one didn't have one, so that's it. That's all we need to punch. So I'm going to go ahead and erase these marks, and then I'm going to glue these on, and I'll be back deciding what we're going to do on the inside, and we'll be gluing our pockets together. So I have the pattern papers glued down on our pockets. So now we can open this back, take our glue, and go ahead and seal up our pockets. So, whoops, make sure it's on the flap. Don't want to seal up the pocket any. So just here on the flap. And bring this one up. This is the first one. And it should line up on each side. So you got your notch there for the pocket. Burnish that, make sure it sticks. I'm put some glue right there in that groove. There we go. Then the next one. Bring that one up and burnish that. So now we have double pockets here on this side. Put tags and elements that we'll cut out, you know, different things to decorate it. But I love how the cemetery's here with the flowers and then the wording and then flowers down here. Different print. Excuse me, lost my voice there. So we have the backs this side. Flip it over, we have this side. So now we need to cut for this one here, and for now I'm going to leave this one blank. I think that's what I did in the prototype. Let's see. Yeah, I left it blank, but I did put that belly band on there. So, yeah, we'll cut something for that belly band and then add that here like this. Just a flat one. I may have to trim it down a little bit. We'll see. Okay, so let me decide. I think I'm going to go with this print here, the back side of the hanging pumpkins. So this one's got to be cut down to it's 4.5 wide. So we're going to cut it and put it at 4.5 and then back it off at 1/16 of an inch. Straight. And then turn and cut this. Put it at 9. And my camera view here. Put it at 9. Back it off a 1/16 of an inch and cut that. And so this is going to glue right here. So when you glue it, remember to pull those tapes off. Now this, let's check this and see. Should be 9 inches. Shows it's 9. So that should fit there and there. Okay, so for that, because I'm not going to pattern this, I'm going to leave it black. I'm going to just put glue on each short end of this belly band. And I'm going to go ahead and glue it in. And then I'm going to pick a pattern paper that I'm going to use for that. Now, if I don't have one already cut, I may wait. Make sure that it's straight here. And do it with a scrap later on. Let's check these. Okay, that looks pretty good. I just kind of eyeballed it there. If you want to measure, go ahead and do that. You'll get it centered. Oops, right there. So now this piece was 1.5 inches, so we need something 1.9 inches by 1.5 inches. So I have either the bats or this side here. So I'm going to just cut it. So we cut it at 9, put it at 9, back it off a 1/16 of an inch, cut that. Let's see where 1.5 inches hits. Inch and a half, a 1/16 off. So we've got it like that. So I think I'll glue that on. I do almost the bats. Decisions, decisions. I really like this print. Okay, so I'm going to glue it together and we'll be back to work on the other. Yeah, I'll go ahead and cut a 3/8 under 3/8 piece for this over here and glue that on as well. Okay, so I changed my mind on the belly band. I decided to go with the lettering. Though they're not full words, I still like that print with this pattern here. And then I put a 3/8, just under 3/8 inch side here on my give space. So when the hinge is glued in, so page set 2 has these top and bottom flaps like that. So these two don't get patterned paper, but we need 3 pieces in here. And then the back side does have a tie for these flaps here, but the yeah, so those don't get covered in there. But the page flap on this, just a second here, does not need any kind of tie on it. So, and I did cover both sides of that one. So we'll see how much paper we've got going still. Okay, so for this one, I'm thinking I want the roses here on the first one. So this is going to be cut the length at 9. So we put it at 9, back it off a 1/16 of an inch, and cut that. And then the width of this is 6 inches. So we get 2 things out of this one. Put the 6 in, back it off just a 1/16 of an inch. Cut. And this piece here, we need to cut a 1/16 of an inch off. Put it in at 6, cut it right there. Okay, so we have 2 here. One for this flap. We can flip it and do this flap, and then we need a piece inside, and I think I'm going to use this one here. Let's see what size we got. Yeah, that'll work. Let's cut the 9, back it off a 1/16 of an inch, and then under 6, and back it off a 1/16 of an inch. Okay, so we have the 3 pieces for our full page flaps. So this one here, you want to round. Make sure your directions on the bottom. You want to round the 2 bottom corners, because this one's going to go on the front. Right there. And then this one is going to be rounded on the top 2 corners. Okay, and then the one on the inside stays straight. I'm going to take my belly band out for now. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and glue these in. And we'll be back. So this one does need a piece glued here on that 3/8 inch, so I'll need to cut that too. Okay, so I've glued my pattern papers down. I've got this print on the 1/2 inch and the 3/8 section here. So when this glues down, that's going to be covered. We have the top flap. You open it up, we have the stripe like that. Open it down, and we have this print in here. These 2 are going to stay the black for right now, but we need to do the belly band that goes right here. But I was looking at this print here, and I'd really like to use this one. But the belly band's a little too wide for the width I was going. So I'm going to cut this down first at just to the side of that stripe. That'll make a mess here. Okay. That's that. So then we have that. Now this one is a little more narrow, but let's see here. So I could still leave it at 3 and just have black on each side, have a wider area here. This one needs trim. Let me do this 9 inch. Just put it in at 9. Back it off a 1/16 of an inch. So it's going to cut it right there above that candle. That's fine. Now see how this border here is not a full one. It's like this one is. So I'm just going to line it back up in here and cut a little bit off. Okay, make it more even. It's better. So this is going to glue down on top of the belly band, and I'm going to make sure it's even on each side here. I'm going to glue this down. And then we'll put the belly band in. Oops, got off my edge there. Okay. So this is going to glue here. So let's center this piece between the black. It's either that or, you know, trim it down. But I think that looks good with the black border like that, edge. So just kind of burnish that. And we're going to open this up. Pull this one down, and so the belly band's going to go right in here in the center. So a bit of glue on the two shortest ends. So right here and right here. And that's just going to attach down, and I'm going to center it. And make them kind of even. There we go. Burnish the top and bottom. And then that's ready to insert photo mats or what have you. Okay, I like that. That's really pretty. So that comes down, and we have that. So we have a lot of different prints kind of going on. That's fine. Something hanging there. Go, so that goes in. Okay. So that is the front of page set 2. And now I'm ready to do something with this one on the back. And that's the one. Oh, did I forget to do my ribbon tie? No, I do it here. No, we're okay. Okay, so we're ready for that one next. Okay, so the back side of page 2 has these little flaps, which will be tied on. So we do need to get our tie closure on there. So let me grab my seam binding that I'm going to use and get that ready, and then I'll show you where to put it. Okay, so I have 2 pieces of seam binding ribbon. It's 18 inches, and then I spritzed them with water and crinkled them up. So here on the back side, you have your hinge to the right. You're going to open up this flap here, and we're going to glue them in the center here, down at the bottom, so that this one's coming out the bottom. Get this opened up. Okay, right there. Right, and then some tape. Glue and tape them. Make sure they don't come loose. There we go. And so the other one is going to go here at the top. So I'm just going to lay this across so that I can kind of get in the same general area. And this one's going to go off the top on the end of this one, because you're going to wrap around the other side. So get some tape on that. Okay, right there. Okay, now we flip it around, and so these will tie right in here over these little flaps. So much the same as the other ones that we did, but anyway, we'll tie them, and then I will tie a knot in the bottom here of the tail. So I didn't need quite that much, but that's okay. Okay, just snip that off. So that is that one there. I may adjust them some more after I get all the paper on there. So now I need to cut my paper for my flaps, this back, and then we're going to have to cut one for here and one for here. So we need quite a bit more. So paper's getting a little dicey here. So we still got the third one to do. So this one here, cut the branding strip off. This is one of the solids. This is the green one. I'll cut the branding strip away. Not that one. Poison green pattern and solid. Poison green pattern and solid. So I want this print on the short flaps. So these guys, I'm trying to think how I can utilize this the best. So these guys are 5 inches wide. So if I cut a piece here that is 5, bring it down to a 1/16 of an inch below the 5. Okay, so that's 5, and then they're 5 wide. So let's turn and cut 1/16 of an inch below the 5 in the height. Get off of 2 of those. Okay, so that's going to go. I wanted them to be the same. One here and one on the front other side. And then underneath that, I'm going to use the solid green. So that I know that's 9 high by 6 wide. So I'm going to cut my 9. Pick it off. Cut 9 inches, a 1/16 under 9, and a 1/16 under 6. Under. So there we go, those pieces. So I'm going to undo this and go ahead off camera. Yeah, glue these on. I'll be right back. Okay, so we have these glued on like this, and then inside this is where the belly band goes. So this was the 3 by 6, and I had this scrap that I trimmed down to fit. So I'm just going to be gluing this right in here. So glue on the short sides on the back. There we go. And then this is going to kind of center about right there. So there we go. And burnish. So now we have a belly band in there. So I'm going to let that dry. So this side is done. I do need to put me a 3/8 inch there next. Don't need anything on that 1/2 inch on that side because that'll be glued in. So I'm going to find a strip here that I want to go on that, and we'll do that next. Is this the right height? Yeah, that's the right height. So maybe I'll do that, put that into, try to do this into 3/8. Skinny, it gets hard to cut them. Right there. You can lay there and cut. Is that too skinny? Yep, too skinny. Can't never get that top part right. And that one's too wide, so I'm going to do it with my scissors here. From here over. I think I can get that right. Let's see. So we're going to open this up, and this is going to glue in right there. Yeah, I think that'll work. So let's do that real quick, and then we'll be done with the working on page set 2. And I'm really going to have to probably get creative with my paper. So if you don't want to have to get creative with your paper, you may have to add some extra sheets. Order some extra sheets. But anyway, this is what I've got to work with, and I'll make it work if I have to piece some things together. So there we got that glued on there, and we're ready. I'm going to go ahead and tie this up. And we're ready for, so that one's too long. Let me tie that one, a knot in that one. And then we're ready to start working on the final page set, which page set 3. Okay, so I thought I was totally done with page set 2 until I put the pages in the book and then started decorating, and I missed the inside of this flap. So we had this side done and I forgot to finish this one. So what I did is I took scraps of this print here and I cut 2 pieces that are 3 1/8 wide by 2 1/4 tall, rounded 2 corners, and then flat glued them here on this page to make this insert like this. I really like how that turned out. And then of course I added in this these 2 postcard pieces, folded them in half, glued black cardstock on the inside, and then this, you know, added some stickers. So that's the inside of that. So for this page over here, because I had ran out of regular prints, I used the back side of the cut-aparts that has the postcard, glued this one down, cut it just under the 6 inches. Well, actually that's, yeah, that's actually smaller, so I cut it under 5 7/8, just a little bit under that, and then of course the 9 inch, just under 9/16 of an inch. I added a lot of stickers in here to, you know, just decorate the page up, and then I added this photo mat, which is a 3 by 4, and these corners from the stickers. So that's how I finished this set in here. So I didn't show you cutting those papers, and I apologize for that. Super easy. Use whatever you have left over to finish yours up. And so now we'll continue on in the part of the video that has the where we pattern page set 3. Okay, so we're going to start on the final page set, which is page set 3, which has a lot of large areas to cover. So like this one in this album, I did piece it, so I may end up doing the same thing. There's no tie closures or magnets or anything in this page, so it's big enough that it holds itself down. So I think on the front, I do want my hanging pumpkins. I haven't used that yet. I really think that's really pretty. So I'm going to trim off the branding strip first. So put this at 12. Get that off of there. So now we need to measure this. See how wide we've got. There, okay. Hard to see on the black. Let's get it lifted up so I can see. 7 1/4. So the width is going to be cut at, put it at 7 1/4 and back it off 1/16 of an inch. So cut that. And then we'll cut our 9 inch height. So we'll get this away. 9 and back it off 1/16 of an inch. And then remember I have these corners rounded right here, so these 2 on the outer edge. I didn't want to clip there. Okay, so that goes there on that one. And I had this orange here. I really like this one. So I didn't cut the branding strip off. Let me get that off of there. So 7 1/4. Both these. Yeah. So 7 1/4 and back it off 1/16 of an inch. And then let's cut it 9. And back that off. Let me do this other way. Put it at 9, back it off 1/16 of an inch. and cut that off. And then I'll decide where I'm going to put that and glue these down. These first two down. Okay, so I'll put the hanging pumpkins here on the front, the rounded corner. Then here on this one, I pieced it with this and this piece here. So you just measure to make it, you know, this is just under 9 in the height, and whatever scraps you have. Mine was like about 4 7/8, and this one was about 2 1/4. So you just make it fit and round these two corners here. And then this opens up, and we have, I use this one on the inside. So this is bigger, so it's just under 9 inches tall, and this is 7 1/2. So just take it a 1/16 under that 7 1/2. So I thought that looked really pretty. So in here is where we put a pocket. So remember, we have this pocket here. So I cut this piece out. I did use a new sheet of 12 by 12. This one is from the, let's see, Blood Red Pattern and Solid Sheet. So I wanted this print here. So I cut this one 6 and 7, just under 6 7/8, and just under 3 1/2. So, you know, you drop it down. And then we're going to have to mark for our punch here. So I line this up where it needs to go. And draw me a line. And grab that punch. And try to get it centered as best I can here. Set it down. Go ahead and erase that line so I don't forget. And hopefully it fits. Let's see here. Pretty close. It'll work. Okay, so let's glue that on. Where's my glue at? I have squeaked by, I think, with my pattern paper for this last page set. And then, of course, I need to cut my inserts for my hidden pockets. Up a little bit. A little higher up here. This side needs to go up just a little bit. Not quite getting it up as high as I wanted it there. Okay, that's going to have to do. Push that down, and then we'll go ahead and glue this pocket on. Now remember, these pockets actually fit in smaller, so you can make it come up, and I kind of like it up with this little ghost here. So I'm going to put my glue on my 3 1/2-inch tabs back here. And I'm going to position this so that it's right above his head and side to side about 1/4 inch. Get it as straight as we can. More that way. There we go. And burnish that in. So I think that looks really cute. Of course, I'll be adding decorative things and everything on this. And then we'll insert some stuff in there. Now these two side ones that are open, I'm going to leave them plain for now. Like I did in my other album, you know, you can come back in and add some mats with patterned paper, or, you know, like that. I got some glue on this. I don't want that there. Keep that clean if I can. Sometimes my fingers have glue on them. You probably can't see it. I don't know if you could see it in the camera or not, but I could tell. There was a little bit of a glue print there. So there's that one. So that closes in, that closes in. Then we flip it over where we have our hinge on the right. So I did add this one. I cut this just under 9 inches tall, and this one was just under the 7 1/4, so just a hair under. This one's going to be left plain for now. And so then I cut this green one in here from the that's Sit for a Spell or not. The other one was Sit for a Spell. It's the green sheet here. I don't have an extra. I cut the branding strip away. I think it's the whatever the green print is in there. If I can find it, I'll get it. Anyway, this section in here was the 7.5 wide, so you cut it 1/16 in from 7.5, and of course 16th in from the 9. And then we're going to have a pocket out here on this one, not inside, but on the outside. So with your hinge to the right, so I cut this piece to fit here. So this piece is just under, let's see what that is. Looks like not quite 3.5. I think I trimmed it down. Just under 3.5. And then the width is 6 7/8, so just 16th under of that. So now we're going to line this up. It's going to be really like that. Get that right there. And punch the notch. And erase it. And let's see if we got it pretty good. And we glue it on. And burnish. It's off a little bit right there, but that's okay. Now then, this again is one of those that doesn't quite fit, but I'm going to bring it down just a little bit to give me more height that way. So glue on your 1/2 inch tabs. And I'm just going to center that. Looks like about 1/8 of an inch maybe on each side. Make sure it's straight and burnish. So that looks really pretty with this orange stripe that way, and then the images here. I really like that. So that is the page 3. And now I do need to add, so this is going to glue in here, so I need strips here and one back here. So I'll do those off camera and I'll come back and show you. Okay, so I got these 2 pieces on, just under 1/2 inch for this one, just under 3/8 on that one, and then the 3/8 one here, just under 3/8. This one will be glued down, so you don't need any pattern paper on that one on the back, on this wider one. So that is our pages patterned, and so now I'm going to get some cardstock and we're going to cut the inserts for the hidden pockets. Okay, to make the mats that go inside the hidden pockets, I pulled out one more full sheet of 12 by 12, and then I had these bigger scraps. So check your scraps, see what you've got. The first one is for the little insert, the little mechanism, whatever you want to call it, that goes on the inside front cover. So it needs to be 2 5/8. So there's just over 2.5, 2 5/8 by 8 3/4. 8 3/4 right there. And on these, we do round all 4 corners, or I did, because I just think it makes it easier to go in and out, and I'm using the 10mm. Use whatever size corner rounder you have or that you want to use. So there's number 1. The next one is 4 3/8. I'm going to wait on that one. I'm going to cut this next one out of this piece. 5 1/2. I think I need that. I think that's what I've got here. Yep, 5 1/2 by 8 3/4. So around those corners. Now all of these you can add pattern paper however you want. I typically do one side of mine. So this one we're going to cut, let's do our 8 3/4 cut first. And then I'm going to turn it, I'm going to get the bigger piece first. I'm going to get 7 inches. So that's 7 by 8 3/4, and then we need one that is 4 3/8 by 8 3/4. So we were able to get that out of just one sheet there. So we round these. Okay, so I'm going to show you where these go, and then I'll show you in my other album. So we have all our elements here. So if you look for your hidden pocket, this small one fits in here. It's just like a bookmark, kind of. You could put small photos on it if you wanted to, so it should go in just fine. It sticks in, and you can add a tab. I'll show you how I'm going to do that. So we've got that one. The next size up goes in here. So you just kind of have to look for your hidden pocket. That's why they're hidden. Okay, like that. There. And this size goes here. So that gives you extra places for photos. You could probably put more than one mat in if you want to. I'm just going to do the one. You just have to, you know, check it and see. Okay. Come on, guys. Now then, out of small scraps of paper, pattern paper, if you want to make dividers, tabs. I have the old Stampin' Up one. Any kind of tab punch you might have will work. I could just line it up straight as I can. I'm not going to glue mine on yet. This is a whale type where it folds in half like that. So I've got double-sided. And so like on my page here, I would glue this on after I've done my pattern paper, however I want to do that. So it would go like that. So then I would line them up according to the 3 main pages, you know, 1, 2, and 3. And then the other one could have one. So I'm just going to punch some of these, and then I'm going to look at my scraps, see how I want to add my pattern paper. Let me show you what I have left. Of course, I have the main piece here I set aside for my cover because I do want this for the cover, and I wanted some of these to tuck in pockets. So we have that saved, and then I have this sheet left, the No Tricks. That's where that green came from. It came from No Tricks a while ago. I have this one, the Poison Green pattern and solid. So I have quite a bit left to do my inserts. I have Hide and Seek. I have that one left. I have some of this left. These I'm going to cut up into tucks, mats to tuck in. This is the If the Broom Fits, so I have that. That's the other side of this one, so I have those two. I've already used 2 pieces on that. And then I also have a couple of these left. I have the Blood Red pattern and Nightscape Black. So I have more left than I thought, and I have some good sized pieces. So I'm going to go through, pattern the ones that I want to. You do what you want on yours with what you have left. And then I will show you what I've done. I'll do mine off camera, and then I will show you how I'm going to decorate the cover. And before I do that, I'll show you how to put these pages in. So I'm going to just go off camera for a bit and pattern my inserts, and then I'll come back and show you what I've done, and then we'll put these inside the book. I have all the inserts patterned. I was able to pattern front and back. I used scraps on everything except for this one here. I did cut into this full sheet of the Poison Green pattern and solid sheet to get the length that I wanted. So this one I patterned solid, green on the back, this print on the front. I used this scrap from and did my tab punch, and I added a little bat. So that goes inside right here in this hidden pocket. Stick it in, the little tab sticks out like that. Okay, and then, yeah, the way it lays down, I was going to say, did I put that on the wrong side? But that's right. I'm going to lay that one aside because that's what I'm going to work on next. I'm going to do our waterfalls. Patterned the waterfalls. This one here, I did a belly band on the front side, and I pieced it. I have a little pieces here, and then the belly band is short in here. So all of this is scraps. You make it the size you want. Like this one is about 1 1/4. I did take a scrap of the black colored solids, and I made a mat there. So that mat there is 4 inches by about 6 7/8. Rounded the corners on it and just slide it under there. I added a piece on top of this one to kind of break this up in here. And there is the punch there. Put that at the top and added a flower sticker. The back side, I pieced this. I have the bats here at the top. Let's see if I can get that glue off of there. The bat pattern there. Some of the cemetery of this little piece here. And then this with the flowers to kind of, match this front side. I love how that turned out. So that slides inside here. Sure, I'm sliding it into the pocket. There we go. And that tab sticks out. And I did add a flower on that one. I think I told you that already. So there's that one. And then the next one, I pieced it on this side. So we have the top and the bottom. So whatever your scraps are that you have that you can cut to fit, flip it over, and I have a belly band here. So this belly band is 3 inches wide. I did add photo mats here to kind of break up that green because I had 2 prints in here, and this is my photo mat that slides under. It's 4.5 by 8 with the bat print. So we've got the cemetery on that side, so that just slides under there. So you can put photos on both front and back if you wanted to, like that. And then on this tab I used the stripe, and I put a little spider sticker right there. So that one slides in. Be careful when you've added elements on there that don't get hung up there. There we go. So it sticks out like that. And then this one, This one here, glue hanging on me, getting that off. Okay, this one here slides out. So this side here, the belly band's on the front. So this is a long piece here that I, from here to here, and then I pieced the little short pieces. This photo mat is 5.5 by 6 1/8 or 6 1/4, whatever your scrap is, and that just tucks in there. And then the back side is pieced like this. So I pieced it down here with this big piece, and then I used this size is one piece, and this is a piece. So just piece it in, whatever you have for scraps, and then I used this print for my tab and added that little spider right there. And so that goes in. Just like that. Okay, so now we're ready to remember on our waterfall back here, I was waiting for scraps or see what papers I have left. So I'm going to cut some mats and glue those on, and then I will show you what I have done for those. Okay, so I added the pattern paper for my waterfall. So when you open this up, I did use the green here. So you measure your sections. This one is like 4 3/4, so cut it a 1/16 of an inch shorter by the 2 inches, 1/16 of an inch shorter than 2 inches. And then your flaps. So I use this print here. I'm leaving the backs black for photo mats. I used the roses here. I did have to use some full sheets to get some of this done here and here. I didn't have enough scraps, and then I used the wording there. So that just all closes up, and then this brings it in, and this just slides under, and so there's that piece there. So now we're ready to put everything into the book. So I'm going to kind of clean up just a little bit, get the book, the cover, and all our pages, and I'll show you how to put them in. Okay, so let's put our pages in our album cover. So make sure everything is in the right direction. You don't want anything upside down. So I've got this. I'm going to start with the first. Let me decide if I want to do the first one or the last one. I'm going to do the first one. But it's going to be sitting a 1/2 inch over, not right up against the edge. We're going to back it up some. So I need to line this up so that we can see where our 1/2 inch is. So if we line this up, that one right there on the line, down on the line, it's going to be straight. I can see my 1/2 inch mark. So we're going to take this hinge, get the hinge on the left, so that you have everything in the right direction. Nothing's upside down. I'm going to take my glue and I'm going to put glue on this hinge that is folded towards the page. So it's the back side of the hinge. And I use glue because score tape for me will come loose. I have seen it come loose. And I know some people use score tape and add glue on top. What that does is it makes the score tape just come loose anyway. So it's not a good idea to do that. I'm going to line it up down here at the bottom where the 1/2 inch mark is, and up here at the top where the 1/2 inch mark is. And make sure it is even top and bottom. This should be the same size as our album page. Just make sure it's lined up at that mark. And right there, right, the mark. Okay. For some reason it doesn't want to stay for me. There we go. Burnish that down with my hands, and then I'm going to take my bone folder and really burnish it good. Just turn it so I can get to it. Make sure everything is attaching down. It's going to be really secure here. So you see we have the 1/2 inch attached, and we still have that 3/8 inch give. So I'm going to let this lay down. Now we have this 1 inch space, and I cut a piece out of the bats. There was a scrap that is 1 inch wide. I'm going to see if I need to trim it any, because that's where the album cover is. So I am going to trim it down just slightly. So it needed to be less. It needed to be that 1/16 of an inch less. So let's make sure we're lining it up top and bottom. Okay, let's see how that does. And that's going to go over that section right in there. You could use any print you wanted to. You could use solid. If you still had some of this, you could use that. I'm fine with the bats because for me, Halloween can be all kinds of prints. It adds to the spookiness, I guess you would say, for me. I really like it. The different prints and stuff. My voice is like acting crazy. So put the glue on this so we can cover that piece up. Okay. So I'm gonna make sure I'm not going over the lines. Burnish it. Holding this up to make sure it doesn't hinder that anything. And I'm just going to burnish that in really good. Wipe off any glue that oozes out down here at the end. Make sure we still have this fold. Okay, so there's that. Now this one folds over this way. So now we're ready to put the next one in. I'm just pressing this down to make sure it can fold. Needs to be trimmed just maybe a tiny bit, but I think I'm going to be able to work it. Okay, page 2. Make sure you got your direction correct. We got the right side over here where the tab is. So we have the hinge on the left. We fold back that 1/2 inch one. We put our glue on the back side where there's no pattern paper. This 1/2 inch, the edge of it butts up against to the page we just put down. So that gives us that 1/2 inch space. Line it up top and bottom. Super easy to line up this way. Burnish it with my fingers to kind of get it to stick. And then I'll come back in and burnish it really well with my bone folder. We got that 3/8 inch give right there. And we lay it back. Okay. We have one more here, and then I will have to cut another strip to hide right there. So this one hinges on your left, fold it back so you can see the unfinished back side of the hinge. Get your glue on there. Line up the cut edge to the fold of the page that's already there and line it up top and bottom. Nice and straight. Okay, I'm just checking my page. Make sure it's straight. Burnish it with my finger in there. Take my bone folder and get in there with it. Let that lay down. So there's that 3/4 inch give. And so we have a 1/2 inch space here between the fold of the album cover and there. Just double checking. So just cut it. I'm going to cut a piece just under the 1/2 inch. Okay, so I measured it. Mine was a little wider than a half, so I cut this piece at a 1/2 inch. You measure yours to make sure, and it's 1/16 less than a 9 inch. And so I'm going to go ahead and put the glue on. I'm going to finish up that section. sure it is not going over the folds. There we go. Burnish that in. I like that. I wish I'd used that on the other side. Right here. You know what? I think I may add one on because I've got it. So I think I'll do that. That way they'll match up front and back, even though this is different from this one. But still, I kind of like that with that print. So I'm going to change mine right here. I'm going to change it from the bats. I'm not going to pull anything up. I'm just going to cut a piece and glue it down. Okay, so I changed that right there. I just glued another piece on it. Love how that looks. So there's our pages in. And now we're ready to put this little piece here in the front. So you can put this anywhere you want. You can put it closer to the edge, more to the center. But when I look at it, I like this hand bone here showing. And then when you lift this up, I like this one showing here. So I'm going to put mine along this, where the hand is. And so that ends up being about 2 inches from the edge. So you're going to fold the hinges to your left. You're going to fold that hinge so you can see the unfinished back side here. And you put your glue on your 1/2 inch, just like you did your pages. And then we're going to press that down. So I'm going to line it up here at the top, right at the top of the page, and then right at the bottom here, so it's nice and straight. I just need to make sure they're the same. Is it two? Turn it around so I can see it better. It's a little over 2. Make sure it's straight. Okay, that may be better. 2 1/8. 2 1/8. Okay, that's better. I just had to move this over a little bit here, and we'll burnish that. Yeah, it's upside down right now, but that's okay. Just burnishing this side in. So then when it folds back, you have that. Okay. And I could have moved it over further so that this doesn't stick out, but I'm okay with that on that side. I just wanted it here with this hand and this one over here like that. So you can scoot yours over maybe 3 inches to keep this inside, but when it's open it doesn't matter like that to me, so it's fine that way. So there's the inside. I will be doing decorating, which means I'll be adding things into the pockets and adding some of my stickers and decorating. All of that will be off camera. I will not be doing that on camera. And then the very last thing I will be doing is adding my ribbon tie and decorating this front cover, which I will show you on camera. So now I'm going to get busy decorating. You just have fun with yours, adding things into the pockets, some of the embellishments that we have in this collection, and just have a good time decorating and personalizing it for yourself. Okay, I have finished up decorating the inside of my album, and I did use every sheet of 12 by 12 on this album, so there is nothing left except a handful of scraps that I might later on make me a tag or something, a Halloween tag. I don't know. I'll show you the scraps. This is what I have left, unless I use some of it with this that I've got for my cover. So that's all I have left, and a few stickers. I used all of the ephemera pieces. They're all gone, except for what I have saved here. So let me go run through this decorating real quick with you. I will have a separate walkthrough video, but of course here on the inside, I added some of this little pom-pom trim, and I added the strip from the sticker sheet, border strip. This is just, I left mostly the patterned. I add the banner there. these on the inside I left plain, except for here I have the spooky added, and then I just leave these tucked in. You know, you can move them around if you want. So that's where that ties up. I love how this turned out. It was a lot of fun decorating with this. So this flips over to your waterfall. So of course, remember, this pulls out like that. It flips up, and then we have the waterfalls. No decorating in there, just the patterned paper. I left room for the photos. So lots of spots for little photos in there, like for your trick-or-treating photos, or maybe you're carving and baby jack-o'-lanterns. So there's that for that piece there. So then this slides over. I did add this stripe instead of what I originally had there, but I showed that on camera. So this unties, and then here I used some foam dots, some black foam dots here. They're not too terribly thick, but they're just enough to give the moon some dimension there. I added bats on that, on top of this piece, a rose here, another flower sticker here, and a spider. Thought that turned out real cute. This opens back. I used a tombstone for a tuck spot, one over here, and then added these pieces here, photo mats out of the solid black paper of the Graphic 45, and added a mat there. So I love how that turned out. So that just ties shut right there. And then this flips open. Oh, okay, and inside I forgot to show in this one. This one we patterned just plain back and front, so you can add photos on that. And we have the pull tab with a little bat on that one. This one has a pull tab with a flower on it. And then I have a belly band here on this side. And then you can add photos there if you want on top of that patterned paper. So that slides in there. And this side here is the pocket. So inside I just tucked in some of the cut aparts, some extra photo mats. I don't give the sizes of the photo mats, just cut those out of scraps of your paper, your cardstock you have left over from making your album cover and your pages. And then I think I used another 1 or 2 full sheets to cut up some more. So there's the photo mat and that. So just cut your photo mat the size that you want. I like to use 4x6 and 3x5s. Here we have the belly band, so I added the hanging pumpkins here. The spider here at the top, and then inside I made a little booklet out of this. And then when I folded it up, because things were on upside down or sideways, I added scraps of patterned paper inside to finish that. So I have that booklet cut apart, and this is just a scrap of the paper that leftover cut apart. I just liked it, so figured I'd use it. So those all tuck in that belly band. Of course, I added decorating. I made a pocket out of this cut apart. Added the tree, some bats, and the hanging pumpkins there. And then this I just folded in half and made a booklet like that. I like how that turned out. That looks really cute, I thought. So that closes up. Here I made a pocket out of this cut apart. And then I glued these ephemera pieces down so that they're loose. You can tuck stuff in, like this ghost is loose here. So this one tucks in. They both do, yeah. That one tucks in. Glue kind of grab 2 ghosts, tuck in, and the skeleton. So all of those can be moved out in front of that scene. I made a tag here out of the scrap of paper. I used the stickers just all the way up and down to decorate it. So that just tucks in like that. And this is a booklet that I folded in half out of a scrap of paper. Rounded the corners. So use up your scraps that way. So this lifts up. So I added some of the die cuts, or the ephemera cuts pieces here. I made a photo mat out of the red solid paper. I made a pocket out of this cut apart. I arranged some sticker and some other elements from the ephemera down here. And then I made a big tag out of this piece of paper. I love the roses. So I used a sticker here, circle scallop sticker for the support piece, the reinforcement, and added some twine. And so I just made this with my angle punch and corner punch. So that just tucks in there. So that's a big pocket. You could put photos on that if you wanted to. And then down here, this flips down. And I did the same thing. Let me turn it sideways so you can see. I have a photo mat made out of the red, and some of the ephemera pieces made it into tuck spots. So this actually comes out. Okay. And then this one here, did I show that one? There's like that, and a belly band with a large pattern paper in there. Photo mats. And that's Bougie You sticker. So that goes in there. Flip this over, then this unties. So here I added this ephemera card, or cut apart, added a rose, black rose from the ephemera pieces. Open that up. This one I left plain. On these I put some of the stickers, each with a red cut apart. I glued these down. I glued this on a booklet on the front of the belly band, and then we have a photo mat that tucks in behind these that hold it down like that, and this border strip from the stickers. This has a ephemera piece, 2 pieces here, the broom, and if the broom fits there, and those stamps from the sticker sheet. So I love how that one turned out. Oh, I love the whole album. Who am I kidding? This whole collection is just, it's just great to work with. You haven't gotten it, be sure to do it, because you don't want to miss out on this Halloween collection from Graphic 45, the Ghostly Greetings. Yeah. So then this one flips up. This is the one I've already shown you that I forgot to pattern while I was doing my patterned paper. I love how it turned out. This is, never would have thought to use this as part of the paper, but I do like how it looks. This one here, oh, I forgot to tell you down here at the bottom, I did add the pom-poms, and this is some of the ephemera pieces here on that. Okay, so I added the pom-pom trim here on this flip page. Didn't put anything here. I love those hanging pumpkins. And then here on this side, I put the back side of the red solid. This is scrap of paper, no tricks, all treats. Added a ephemera piece here, and then a photo mat here. Some more of the sticker trim here that matches this. This is paper, this is stickers. Oh, bats is a sticker. Of course, this is the paper where we pieced it. And then in here we have a photo mat going the other way, same size, some more of this trim, and then this ephemera piece. And then on the pocket, I added all these ephemera pieces. A bat is the sticker, the broom is the sticker, and inside I have put, well, I may have got stuck here. I don't want to tear it. Sometimes my glue, I get in a hurry. Okay, no problem. Cut apart here. I made a frame out of this piece of paper, and what I actually did, it was folded in half and glued it down, so it's got the same print on the front and the back. Photo mat, put one of the postcards, added a sticker stamp, and this is a bigger photo mat here. Actually, I've got 2, so just tuck that in. So anywhere I wanted to add the photo mats, I can. In places I don't have anything like that. So that closes up, and that closes up, and then this flips back. Oh, let me show you. We have this in here. We have a large photo mat under there. Oh, that's pieced. I love how this paper pieces together. So pretty. And then this goes back into that hidden pocket. It will go in, I promise you, because I took it out. There we go. Yeah. And this flips back, so then we have a pocket here with this pattern paper. Inside of there, I tucked this large cut apart. This is the black. I made it into a mat. There's a mat. There's a mat out of cardstock. And this is a little booklet out of a scrap. Oh. Upside down, no wonder. Of the green Sit for a Spell's ephemera piece and an ephemera piece spider. So that just tucks in there. And then the back side, I left that plain. You could add photos there if you wanted to, or leave it plain. So now we are ready to work on the cover and finish this album up. To finish the outside of the album, the first thing we're going to do is add our ribbon tie closure. So I'm using the 2-inch wide ivory or tan colored with the black stripe that I got in a design team package, and I have some score tape here. So I've lined this up on my grid. This is 9 inches, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So the center is 4.5. So I want to put my tape at 4.5, right about there. Right. Line that up straight. I am not putting any tape across the spine. It will not be attached down there. It will go across the spine, but it will not be attached down onto the spine. Keep the tape from grabbing down there. Okay. So now we'll flip this over, line it back up to get my center. 1, 2, 3, 4.5. About right there. This tape is sticky today. Okay, right there is straight. Okay, so now we'll burnish that down before we take our backing off. Now then, I got 2 yards of this ribbon in my design team package, but it was 2 1-yard lengths, and 1 yard is not enough for me to tie. So I'm going to flip it over and start on the back side first. So I'm going to allow plenty of ribbon to tie, and I'm going to put this down. So take this one off. And I know it's not as wide as the ribbon, but that's going to be okay. I'm going to put this right here. Burnish that down. Now if I want to come along and add some glue, I will. So I'm going to take this off, and this full length is not, I'm going to trim this off about center here because I want a longer tail. Save this for another day, for another project. Bring this down, pull it pretty tight, and get it on there. Okay, now we'll take another 1-yard piece. So I'm going to line this up, make sure no strings are on there. This is going to be covered by my decorating pieces, so line this up right here. Hopefully I got enough to tie. Could use some more. Not very pretty bow right now, but yeah, that works. Okay, I'm going to get this attached down here and let this dry. This right here and right in here. So I'm just going to maybe get me a clip here and let this dry in here. Or just wait. Okay, I know I've got a gap there, but that's okay. The ribbon's on front and back. I did have this scrap left that I stuck corner punched and glued that over the back just to make sure it stays secured flat. Like I said, it's not attached here. And then I glued this piece on. This was one that I had saved, cut around it and fussy cut this little bit right here. And I'm going to put a little bit of glue still right in here and get that touched down better. Okay, so now I'm ready to build up on it. So I saved these pieces here like this, and I thought maybe I would cut this like, let's see here, this is this one. like right through here, because I want the flowers to be seen. So let me see what I need to cut right in here. Yeah, like that, because I'm going to be adding flowers in. So I want that. And I'm going to probably pop that up on these foam squares. So put the big squares in the main sections here. Okay, because I've been touching it, I'm going to add a little bit of glue on top of the foam. Okay, now we're going to align this with all of these images here. Just like that. Okay, and then I have these pumpkins in here. I'll wait on that. I'm going to do these flowers, I think. So like that one. And I'm just using the art glitter glue. Once it dries, it's real secure, but it does give me a chance to kind of move things around if I want. Like that one, like that one right there. Squish that one in. I need one right in there, I think. I like that one. Okay. And then we have this ghost. Did I want him? I'll put some foam on him. Got this chipboard piece that says "Boo to You," which makes it stand out a little more than what's in there. I'm just going to glue this one down. Okay. Ghostly greetings. Okay, so I took the ghostly greetings and matted it on the check of the red solid and then onto the black side of the black solid scrap that I had. And I'm just going to glue it down under here. Like right in there. I still have some pumpkins here. Can't decide if I really want to trim these down and put them in or not. Let me look at that and see how I like that. That one came up. Push that back in there. Okay, think a minute here. Okay, so I decided I don't want the boo to you there. I like the ghostly greetings, just that saying. So I trimmed off this edge of the pumpkin. And sometimes when I trim things off, I take my black Olo marker and I just kind of do the edge a little bit to kind of finish it off some where I have done some cutting. Now I think I'm going to glue this in right in here. Okay, so let's put the glue on. I'm going to leave it flat. I need to punch this piece out. There. Okay, so let's get the glue on this. Okay, we're going to cover up that boo to you. Now, if you like it, you know, you do what you like as your personal decor. Okay, so I'm just pressing it all down. I also fussy cut out, this was the other part of this piece here. And I'm thinking, do I like that or not? Such decisions. Maybe not as tall, but about like that. So let's get some glue on this. Can't overthink it too much. If I overthink too much, then I'll put too much or too little. I don't know. It's hard to know when to stop. But this is Halloween, so I really like this spooky element to it. So I'm going to stick that down quite a ways in there and let that fall just to the edge of that. And press this all down. Okay, like that. Then I made a loopy bow with this. I was thinking about sticking it in there. I think I kind of like that. So I'm going to put some glue under here and poke that in so that it kind of sticks out. Let me get my bone folder so I can press it into the glue. Let that dry. Okay, let's see how it looks now. Do we need any more flowers? Do we need more of a rusty orange flower somewhere maybe? Make it 4 right there. I'm thinking I do. Put some pretty good amount of glue on it. And let's kind of tuck it in. About right there. Okay, so I think I like that. I think that's going to be it. Okay, so all of that has to dry now. and I'm going to clean all this up, do a walkthrough video. It'll be uploaded separately from this tutorial. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial series of making this graphic 45 Ghostly Greetings Halloween album that I designed for Country Craft Creations. I really like how it turned out. I love working with this paper collection. It's been a lot of fun. I hope you've enjoyed it. So I will have some more projects coming out soon, so be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Click on the bell so you'll receive notification each time I do upload a video. Give me a thumbs up and a comment if you do. I appreciate it so much. I will reply. I try to reply to every comment. If you have a question or just a comment, I try to reply to all of those. It also helps my channel to grow every time you give me a like or leave a comment. So any kind of activity like that, extra stuff, just really helps me out a lot and helps me to find more subscribers. So anyway, I hope again that you have enjoyed this. Be sure to check out my channel for other tutorials, and remember to always check out countrycraftcreations.com for your paper crafting supplies. And the products I used in this will be linked in the description of this video down below. Thanks everybody. Bye-bye.